Here's a good one for you. We're going to be going over grooming and handling skills and teaching our dogs how to be more tolerant to tools and clippers coming at their face. We're partnering with our friends over at Muse Dog Spa to teach you what you need to be doing at home so that your dog's better at the groomers and just in life. So first, we're going to be going over a place command. This is a basic, but also this is what almost every groomers is going to look like to your dog. We want them to target something, such as furniture, like an ottoman, but they need to be able to go somewhere and stay somewhere and be calm so that they can be groomed. The next big thing is going to be our dog's orientation. I want them facing in front of me, fully aware of what's going on. I'm not sneaking around with scissors trying to get something done real quick. One, I'm going to poke your eye out. Two, I'm going to lose a lot of trust. Every time I sneak, the dog's just going to learn to avoid me. So I want them turned. I want them to value facing me and being totally aware of what's going on. Plus, when we're talking about groomers and other dogs around, especially with this puppy, he just wants to play. That was one of his big struggles. He couldn't calm down and settle down to be groomed. So what we're doing is we're putting him on place, and I'm using some leash pressure, and I'm moving to teach him how to spin around and face me. And every time he does, he gets something good, but he doesn't really care for that. But don't worry, food's not always the answer, and we can still train this dog even though he's not taking food right now. And the next thing I want to be teaching him is how to stand and how to be touched. Now, the old school method is just wrestle the dog, really hold them down and assert your dominance until they stop screaming. And that's not going to really work for the average person. Plus, not for this young puppy. He's going to hate the experience. The only thing he's going to associate is not a fun time at the groomer. So he needs to know that there's an ending to this. Your dog will get more stressed if they just don't understand that this will end. So we're going to do everything in chunks. We're not going to do this one drawn out thing. We're going to take it bit by bit, concept by concept. First, they handle place. We give them breaks even throughout that. Maybe I just start with these sessions for 5-10 seconds at a time. Maybe I just do it 5 times or 10 times. And again, giving them a break instead of making them place, front, stand. Now I'm touching them. All that's going to do is increase their stress until it gets to a point where they blow up. So again, we're doing this in chunks. We're just taking bite-sized pieces at a time. First, I'm going to start to just pet them, get them used to that. Before then, I start to squeeze. And before I even lift up their paw, I'm just squeezing. Then I'm lifting, and I'm getting that tolerance built. They have to be able to tolerate this for them to be able to have long-lasting results. Because what's inevitable is the dog is going to fuss. The dog's going to fuss about because this isn't going to be the most fun thing in the world, but we are trying to make it a little bit better. Now, what is that fuss going to look like? It's going to look like pulling away from me. It's going to look like licking, biting, or mouthing, or crying. All of this is just a response to the stress. So what we want to do is try to keep that stress manageable. It's inevitably going to get high, but we're trying to help out with holding them through it and using that leash pressure to help communicate to them, hey, I need you to stop fussing, and this is going to end, right? And again, it's the more that we aren't wrestling them around and we're being aware of what they can tolerate, the better of an experience they're going to have, and they're going to associate this as a decent time and that they can put up with it. So we're, again, doing short sessions so that we can get them just below their threshold of what they can tolerate or right at it, instead of blowing right past it to where, again, we're getting all those stressful responses. Now, it's inevitable. You're gonna get this fussing. This ain't that fun. But what we're doing is we're helping out. I'm holding them. Just because you're fussing doesn't mean I'm gonna let go. And I'm gonna help out with the leash to help manage and control you. Now, a lot of the times we lose our dogs when they see this picture of us approaching them when we have something in our hands. And then they either run away or they're like, oh, I know what that means. I know what that means. I'm getting out of here. So first, I make it easy. Just stay on place while I am approaching you with these things. If you get off, I fix you. And I'm going to make it easier for you to get rewarded. I'm going to adjust my expectations. All I care is that you stay on that, you don't get off, you don't run away as I approach you. And if I can approach you with something scary, you're going to get something good. I'm going to reward you with food, toys, praise. I'll give you breaks in between. But what matters is getting these reps in of approaching, building and desensitizing this dog so that, again, he can tolerate, he can stay standing while we're grooming. He's not freaking out while I'm approaching him with scissors, right? And if I do get fuss, I'm gonna make sure, again, I'm working the dog through it. This is a totally unedited clip of a fuss that we have to work through. Again, I'm holding, I use the leash to help, and then once it's over and the dog calms down, he's gonna get his freedom again. But I gotta wait until that actually happens. But once it does, he gets praised, he gets rewards, and he gets his freedom for not fussing. And as I go along, I'll start to slowly increase the challenges that I'm throwing at him. Like tapping or clipping your nails. I don't want to stay stagnant. I don't want to stay in the same area. I want to keep improving and building up this dog so that they can tolerate more. And as I increase the challenge, I'm going to add variations. Maybe I'm coming at you from the side. Maybe I'm doing this in a weird way. Maybe I'm holding your paw in a weird way. So it's not just the same thing, and the dog keeps advancing. Now, the next thing is going to be distractions. And the only thing, again, I need this dog to do is ignore them. So this is tough. This puppy, this is what was such a big struggle. He'd go to the groomers, he'd want to play, couldn't settle down, would scream if you tried to hold him. So again, what are we doing? I'm actually making it easy. All he's got to do is go to place. He's got to face me, and when he does, he gets something good in return. He's going to get some food if he wants it. He doesn't. But again, what we're doing is we're marking and we're shaping this, and we're getting a more and more engaged dog that's more tolerant of his surroundings. So again, it's all about those reps, getting those reps in, making it easy, and now we're slowly increasing those challenges again. And look, he's eating out of my hands now. Some food drive out of this puppy. Who would have thought a dog that didn't like food? Well, that's actually more common than you think. And it's not about getting better and better food. You are gonna fail if that is your way of training. What we are doing is just appropriately building that tolerance. Sometimes we don't play. Sometimes you're a puppy and you don't play. You gotta tolerate it. Tough. But we do it in a nice, appropriate way, building that tolerance up. And now what I'm gonna do is get him doing the work. Now he's gotta come closer to me. I don't wanna always be chasing him. I wanna start to get him coming closer to me. So this is what we call shaping, and through marking his choice to even come and touch my hand with his nose. Or if I use leash pressure and he just lurches a little bit forward, I'm gonna mark and I'm gonna reward that choice, and time again. Now I'm building a pattern where, hey, if you come closer to me, if you touch my hand, you get something good. And no, I don't want your paw. So the best part about shaping is I can also teach him, no, I don't want that. I want this. I don't need to be a dick and correct anything, but I can say, hey, I like that, and fuel his fire to come closer to me. Now in this process, you're gonna figure out what works for you. For my small dog, I like to have her on her back. She's calmer. I've done this since she was a puppy. This is how she knows how to get her nails clipped. There's a lot of dogs that do this. Now, could you do this with a German Shepherd? No, maybe you want to do a chair. But whatever works, you'll find in the process of doing this correctly. And give them breaks. Make sure that your dog gets the time to relieve some stress. Make it fun. Make sure that you're not just clamping down, wrestling them through it until they just submit. Otherwise, they're gonna hate it and they're gonna associate it nothing but no fun and a bad time. Now, if you're lucky enough to live in San Diego, you can employ me as your trainer and Angela over at Muse Dog Spa to be your groomer, and we can put all this together. So lucky enough, I was able to take this dog to the actual groomers and work him in that environment. And I'm doing everything that we practiced at home. I'm just doing it now in the real world, in the real place. And I'm working through all of those challenges and all of those distractions we're around. Again, we've practiced all this stuff at home. We've been doing all this stuff in an easier environment so that now when we transition in this harder environment, it's a little easier. Because again, look at his face. He's like, get me out of your hands. I want to look at every other dog in this room. They might play with me. Well, tough. You can't do that all the time, but he doesn't quite know that. So we help him out. We're making sure that we are doing and teaching these things outside of this environment because one, your groomer definitely does not have enough time in their day and their busy schedule to spend too long with your dog. So it's your job to get this taken care of. Help him out with the leash. Teach him what that means. The only reason he wants to get away from me is that distraction. So I'm using all of this that I've practiced at home to help out when the groomer needs it in that real life situation of getting groomed. And again, a dog that's not tricked, we're not sneaking around, we're working the dog through all this stuff, was gonna have long lasting results. It's gonna be a dog that truly understands and tolerates what's going on, and that's going to actually be better for the long term. And we're gonna throw in a ton of variations. We're gonna try to keep advancing on all this stuff so that it's, again, being tied back. It's not that hard for the dog, and again, it's easier for the groomer to now have that as an option to be able to use the tie back or the leash as needed. And now being tied back isn't causing an additional stress that is just going to make it even that much harder for your groomer and for your dog. I mean, your dog's going to hate it if they don't even know what it's like to be tied back. It's going to make everything just that much easier for everyone involved in this process. So again, even just approaching, making sure that we're practicing it at home, and then it transfers to the real world. And then even better than that, if you can find a friend or a family member that can come and just kind of practice the same thing, now we're transferring all this stuff from person to person. So now the dog isn't just associating maybe a bad time with one person or one place. Now they have to do that with other people and do that in other places. And again, it just makes the dog a lot more tolerance for the long term. Because then when they get to the big boss and they actually get groomed, they're going to be a lot calmer. And your groomer, they have their own techniques. They got their own way of doing things. So the more that you can throw at your dog, the better. I mean, look at some of these holds. Who knows how your dog's going to tolerate that? And it's going to take a lot of time to get through some of this stuff, such as just even getting the paws done or underneath the paws. You're going to want to make sure that, again, you're practicing all this stuff because it's all entailed in your dog's grooming adventure. Same with the face. Being able to get your dog comfortable with their face getting clipped. That's tough. So you want to practice that at home so it's easier for your groomer and it's easier for your dog. And look at that dog. That dog looks good. That's a fresh cut right there. That dog looks clean. So clean and happy. And look at that work. I mean, that is great stuff. That dog's a model.